This broadcast is brought to you by Isklar, Windforce, Kongsberg, Bundegruppen, Intersport, Renault, and Aker Biomarine.
There you go. That's just a little retrospective of some of what we have seen here today. Some absolutely amazing action. It's spine-tingling to look back on what these athletes have done today, Doug. And if you want to look back on them, all of these clips are being published on the Facebook page. Go in, click like, click share, show the world what a fantastic race this is. Show the world what a fantastic race this has been. And who knows, show the world what a fantastic race next year's is going to be as well. Just to recap a little bit in text form, if you like, we started just before 5 o'clock this morning. The athletes were brought out on the boat. They jumped into the water. The whole thing started at 5 o'clock sharp. A horn went off. The race started. It took about 53 minutes for the 3.8 kilometer swim to be done by the top athletes in the race. Those who got out of there first, they got up on their bikes. They went 180 kilometers and they were done within 6 hours. So the swim and the biking was done within 6 hours by the top male competitors here. The women weren't too far behind. Then they got into the marathon and eventually it ended up in Lars Christian winning the race. Lars Christian Vold in under 10 hours. It has been incredible and it has flown by, and we will put as much of it as possible up on Facebook so that you can go back and enjoy it. We thank those of you who've been with us from the very beginning, the pre-dawn beginning here this morning. We thank all of you who joined us throughout the day. But if you want to show the highlights to your family and friends, go back over the clips that are being edited there in such a fantastic fashion by Rasmus and share them around the place. I think you'll find yourself wanting to do a triathlon, maybe 2 this week if you do get the chance to do that. We still have plenty of things happening out on the course. We are trailing Mohammed at the moment. We know that he is on the mountain somewhere. Now, one of the things that we do have a little bit of difficulty with, of course, given the situation that we have 250 support cars there as well, we're trying to get our own car to sort of snake through them all and catch up with Mohammed and see how he's doing. We're fairly certain that he is going to make it to the 32.5k cutoff in time to be one of the 160 athletes that gets to finish at the top of the mountain behind us here, okay? That means an awful lot to him. He has a bronze medal from the Paralympics. This guy is one of the most inspiring athletes you will see. And the one thing that he wants in life is that black t-shirt. And today may very well be the day that he gets it. Dog, again, you were with me a couple of times when we spoke to him during the week there. And he explained that this blade that he has, the kind that was worn by Oscar Pistorius in his sprinting career, that it's adjustable. So you were saying that he's going to adjust the height of that as he comes to the mountain.
So last time Mohammed was here, when he hit Zombie Hill, he realized there was an issue with the blade because he swings it around. Yep. So when he hit the uphill, it was problems getting the kick to move forward. Yep. So this time his blade, he can adjust it so it's shortened. So when he finished the flat part of the run and entered Zombie Hill, he would shorten the actual length down to the blade with about 5 centimeters. Okay. So he can swing it up the hill and run. And by the look of it, it does work.
Yeah, it seems to have worked. We caught a little bit of footage of Mohammed a little bit earlier on as he made his way up the hill. He ran for a little bit there. He looked to have a pretty good stride. Then he stopped. I mean, Zombie Hill is one of those places that many athletes have admitted that they were going to walk up most of it. They just take a brisk walking pace. It's very, very difficult to maintain a running pace all the way up Zombie Hill there. So you got to conserve your energy. You got to make sure you can get it to the end. There's that Neil Young song that says it's better to burn out than fade away. Not when you're on Zombie Hill, it's not. So Mohammed was doing his best there to get up there, and he's passed through all the turns on Zombie Hill now. No?
He's heading towards turn 4 and 5 before he gets to the cutoff point.
Okay, so yeah, he's got to get to 4 and 5 and then he will be at the cutoff point. Once he gets to the cutoff point, that's pretty much the holy grail for the athletes here. Anybody you talk to in the hotels, anybody you met in a wetsuit over the last few days here in Norway, they were telling you that the black t-shirt was what they wanted. I'm sure they're not going to throw the white t-shirt in the bin if they do get it. Everybody will want their finisher's t-shirt from the Norseman. It's incredibly difficult to finish this race, but the black t-shirt is where it's at, especially for those who haven't won one. Mohammed, of course, took part here in 2014, was a very, very popular popular contestant here, but he got the white t-shirt then. This time around, he's going to want to take the black one. Shall we go out into the field? Do we have anybody up at the top of the mountain there that maybe we can have a quick look? Because I think if we look at the map there, we might see if there's anybody there. No, it's still mostly spectators there. Every time I see somebody in shorts and a backpack, I automatically assume now, after I just missed Fredrik there, that it may be a contestant. No, it's just a very, very brave spectator. Two very brave spectators in this case. Just wandering up there to sample the atmosphere at the finishing line of the ultimate triathlon on the face of planet Earth. An amazing amount of work, of course, goes in up there. You can see all the banners from our sponsors up there as well. None of these things get up there by accident. None of them grew at the top of the mountain, but they all got there, and they'll all have to be taken down this evening, dog.
Sure.
So again, the volunteers are up early. They're out at the top of the mountain early, but they're going to be there pretty late tonight, tidying up after this.
Yes.
Yep. Do you face any sort of penalties from, say, I think, no, we're going to cut that for now on. We have one of the athletes coming up here. It's one of our male athletes. Is that Heikko Sepp from Estonia, possibly? It is indeed Heikko Sepp from Estonia, who is just going to make it inside the top 10. Heikko doesn't seem to be under any pressure whatsoever. You can see from the day glow gloves on his hands there, he's popped them on to keep himself warm. Reasonably relaxed coming up there, strolling up the steps and into the 10th position. He's striding in 10th position, taking off the backpack, and I reckon that was in preparation for just falling on the ground, because it looks like his legs are about to give out at any second. No, he's picking it up again. He's managing to stay on his feet. One of very few competitors who managed to stay on the feet with the support team there. Great help. We are going over to our team in the field. We have found Mohammed. Mohammed has his crutches out. You can see he has his blade on there. He has looks like a member of Team Bob walking alongside him there with the Norwegian flag, and indeed he has his support team there beside him. Mohammed, of course, living in, I think it's Sacramento, California now, if I recall correctly. Over here in Norway. He's based over there, originally born in Morocco, and you can see him going there on the crutches, the combination of the crutches and the blade. This is a part of the course which is very, very steep, so he's not going to bother running on the blade here. It's just a case of putting one foot and the crutches in front of one another and just continuing to make constant progress. He is in position 104 by the looks of things at the moment. If he's passed out by 56 athletes, that means he doesn't get his black t-shirt. But at this stage, with 11 kilometres to go, just as we lose the signal there, with 11 kilometres to go, it looks like he is going to make it. That is 161. I can't quite see who that is there.
Andreas Mjåland.
That is Andreas Mjåland from... that is another Norwegian athlete. And sobbing there with joy having crossed the line. I'd say it's more relief than anything else, dog, that he's managed to cross the line. We've wrapped him up in a blanket there. Amazing, the gamut of emotions that the athletes go through. Even Lars Christian, when he won, was both crying and laughing and everything else besides, all in the space of a few seconds. So... it takes an awful lot out of these athletes physically, it takes an awful lot out of them mentally, and my God, does it take it out of them emotionally as well. Of course, we do have trained medical professionals up the top there to help them out. But he appears to be well on the way to the recovery already, wrapped up in a blanket. We'll get him a cup of soup now. And that shout, if nothing else, is bound to lift him out of his tears there. 11 hours and 52 minutes after he set out. We're going to go back down to our camera out in the field. We got a little better coverage now. And you can see, as Dog was saying a little bit earlier on, the little bit of a swing there on the blade. The stride has been changed just a little bit. It's still quite difficult. You can see the exaggerated hip movement there that's needed to bring the blade around. And that's why the blade had to be shortened for these steeper parts of the course. Mohammed's face is set in a fairly decisive grimace there as well. He looks very, very dedicated to the cause here. He's not going to be hanging around here. He's currently pretty much acting as a professional triathlete, right? This is what he does.
He's a professional triathlete and athlete. He does other extreme races as well. He's done Marathon des Sables and other pretty nasty stuff.
Pretty nasty stuff. I have to admit, we got down to the social swim yesterday morning, and we saw Mohammed down on the beach, and he put on his wetsuit, And when he dived into the water, he just dived in, like pretty much walked down to the beach, dived into the water and took off. And the speed of his swimming was absolutely incredible. And the technical excellence of particularly his arm strokes were just amazing. The power that he could generate. And he's not the tallest of individuals either. So the leverage that he can manage, or the leverage that he can pull together when he puts his limbs, it's just incredible altogether to see what he can do.
If these numbers or these times are correct, he had the 56th best bike time, and he bikes with one leg.
The 56th best bike time, and he bikes with one leg. That was another discussion that we had, if he was going to have any sort of an artificial limb and use it on the bike, and he went no, because the problem was that the further up his right leg he goes, there just isn't the power generated by his hip there. So his leg is so small that he can't generate that power. So he decided that he was only going to bike with one leg, and he came in 56th of 246 starters. That is absolutely incredible, Doug. That is just majestic performance there. I think, we're not supposed to have favourites in the race. We're supposed to remain impartial, but I don't think anybody's going to object if we see him as one of the 160 black T-shirt winners here today. How long have you known Mohammed? I assume you've known him since 2014. And more importantly, how did he approach you as a Paralympic athlete to take part in this race? Did he just apply like everybody else, or did he?
He sent us a mail, and we had a discussion around it. He's competing on the ITU Paralympic circuit. So we took him in on our race director's quota 3 years ago, and this year he applied, and of course third place in the Paralympics does qualify you to an elite slot at Norseman.
Yeah, that's going to raise a few eyebrows, right enough. Was there ever a debate that maybe this might be too extreme for a Paralympic athlete?
This again is his decision, not ours.
Yeah. So it's very much his own personal responsibility. If he feels that he is capable enough, that he can be fit enough and strong enough to do that, nobody here is going to stand in his way.
Nope.
And nobody should either. 56th in the cycle today. An absolutely incredible performance by Mohammed there. Still a good bit away from us here. It's going to be a while before we get to talk to him. But there's a very, very good chance, currently in 104th position, that he's going to be one of the 160 who finish their race right up here at the top of the mountain behind us. We are keeping a close eye on the women's race there. They're on the mountain now. So they're on the mountain trail. They're scrabbling their way up. Hands, knees, feet, everything that they can use to get up there as quickly as possible. I'm not sure, once they pass the last timing point before the finish line, that's it. We don't really hear a whole lot more from the GPS there. We have our camera position right up the very top there, so we'll be able to see them crossing the finish line maybe a little bit before. But maybe if we look at the map, we can see how close they are to the top. Dog is the master of map work here. He has a few favourites put in there, not necessarily favourites in the internet sense rather than favourites in the athlete sense.
Should have on Naveen in very, very soon.
Yep.
So most likely they can see her from the top now.
They can probably see her from the top now, and of course Meredith Hill is coming up close behind her. She still seems to be very, very close behind. And then you have Christine Lee is not too far behind again, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to talk to Meredith a little bit later on about the effect of being passed out there on Zombie Hill, and if she could find anything again, because all Anna needs to do now is match the same pace that Meredith is going at, and she's not going to be beaten. We are watching as many different aspects of this race as we can. As I say, the camera teams out in the field are travelling around the place, keeping an eye on Mohammed. From the top, we are keeping an eye on the women's race, and somewhere in the middle, we're keeping an eye on everything else that is going on down there. Remember that you can get involved in the discussion here. You can send us your greetings, your comments, your questions. The hashtag to use is NXTRI2017, Norseman Xtreme Triathlon 2017. Get on that hashtag, send them in there, and we shall do our best to answer your questions as we go along. I'm sure there's probably a few comments and that kind of thing coming in on the Facebook page. The YouTube channel we haven't got an eye on just yet. We're trying to keep it quiet here in the studio until everybody is in there. So we will deal with those in due course. And here we have, what have we got here? This is one of our male athletes. Yeah, is it Johof?
Johof
Norsgaard, Norwegian athlete number 138 there. There we go. You can see how treacherous it is there underfoot, and this indeed is the easy part of this particular track because the steps have been built by the Sherpas there. There he goes, he slipped for a second, third time. You're better look going on all fours there, Johof. Johof stumbles across the finish line, exhausted. And here are the moments, the mixed emotions, the elation and the fatigue and everything else coming in together. We can just hear them speaking in Norwegian there, telling him that he made it in under 12 hours. He just about made it. I think the official time that he was being told there was 11 hours, 59 minutes and 40 seconds, so he just about made it there. It might be a little bit more generous on the system that we have here, is it?
We have 59.24, so still unofficial, but still under 12.
Yeah, a half a minute for 226.
The final sprint.
Exactly. Oh, that's why he tried to make it up there, yeah? And the couple of slips nearly cost him there. If he had a damaged an ankle there, it might have been troublesome. But it really is amazing, you know, when you go out on the course there. We've heard other athletes talk today in their post-race interviews about the goals they had in terms of time and that kind of thing, you know. They want to get under 10 hours or 11 hours. There's obviously an athlete who wants to make it under 12 hours when they realised it was possible, and going all in, you know, after 225 and a half kilometres and the last 500 metres, he's going all in to make it across the line. That just shows you the dedication of these athletes. There we are back down an awful lot. We were just looking at an elevation of about 1900 metres. Now we are back down around about 100 metres above sea level, down around Zombie Hill. We have a cyclist there in the way, I'm sure. It doesn't look like he's pacing too much, but we have one member of the support team and somebody out for a nice leisurely Saturday afternoon walk. I'd imagine on Zombie Hill, it's kind of clever just to put one foot in front of the other, get through that, and then once the gradient is gone, then you can sort of start attacking the course again, much as Anne Nevin has done throughout the evening, or throughout the afternoon, surely. It is 5 o'clock, 1 minute past 5 Central European time. It is 12 hours and 1 minute since these athletes got underway. Slightly more than 12 hours since they hit the water. Raphael Vorpe of Switzerland making his way up. Very, very sure-footed as a mounted goat, despite the fatigue here as he makes his way up the final steps here towards the finish line. Raphael outside the 12-hour mark now, so in no hurry whatsoever. Just wants to get over the line, I'm sure, and take the weight off his feet after the 12 hours of swimming and cycling and running. We have a couple of comments coming in here. We'll just see if it's anything that we can have a look at in direct. Team Betty Designs is cheering for Meredith Hill. Almost there. Go, go, go. Meredith Hill getting so much love from Australia. We're hugely impressed by the amount of love that we're getting. Raphael's going back down again. I don't know if he's going for a photograph or if he's just had enough now. He's going to come back down to the hotel here. But he doesn't seem to be hanging around up there for too long. He's gone out of there. I'm very surprised. I would have taken a selfie at least if I got all the way up there, dog. But not for Raphael today.
Interesting.
It is interesting. I don't know, like just as elated as Jo Hoff was for making it under 12 hours there, you know, I mean, I wonder if it's equally crushing for Raphael. Maybe he had in his mind all day that what I want to do is get under 12 hours, you know. And when you do set these goals for yourselves, we're talking about very competitive people, you know. Can I ask you, what do these athletes do? We've talked before that they're very competitive people, but they're amateurs. What do these guys do at work on Monday morning? Do they take Monday morning off? Do they take the rest of the week off after? How long does it take to recover from something like this?
Recovery time is, of course, individual. I don't think there will be many going to work at 8 a.m. on Monday morning.
I sincerely doubt that.
A lot of these people will have to travel half the way or all the way around the world to get back home. But I know of people that have to get on the helicopter and then go offshore already next week. So there is many ways of dealing with this.
Okay, so there are people who are going out to work on oil rigs and that kind of thing. This is their last week off, and they got to head off out there. I mean, I don't know. The great thing about being on an oil rig is there's not too many places to go. So, you know, a few stiff limbs aren't going to hinder you too much out there. But there are long days. We have Anne, I think, we're getting word that we have Anne Nevin is reaching towards the top. She's just about to make it to the top there. It'll be coming into our picture at any second. This is the leader in the women's race. There is somebody there I'm not sure if that's Anne herself or who it is standing there. We're expecting her to come around the corner now. Anne Nevin, the leader of the women's race at the moment. There she goes. There she goes, looking full of energy. The game face is still on. Will we see the smile as she crosses the line? Anne Nevin, the winner of the Women's Norseman 2017. And look at the relief. Look at the relief. Incredible, absolutely incredible to keep that lead after passing out her main competitor. She went by Meredith Hill. She managed to survive the spurt. She is absolutely exhausted, done for.
And she beat the course record.
And she beat the course record in 12 hours by about 13 minutes by the looks of things. She could have made the 12 hours. She was just slightly outside that. I don't think she'd be too disappointed. Now the smile spreads across her face. Now the game face is gone. Now she knows what she's done. She's won the race. She's beaten the record. You can't ask for any more than that. And already she's back on her feet in celebration. Incredible. That's got to feel good. That's got to feel good right there.
I think this is her first long distance triathlon as well.
Her first long, that's right actually, yeah. We were informed a little bit earlier on. She is the half marathon champion, I think, at the moment.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was hard. Really hard.
I saw you at the start of the run leg. You were number 3, right?
Yes.
Yes. And what were you thinking then? Because Christine and Meredith looked really strong.
Well, I was you know, it was hard because I didn't know how strong that first woman was. I thought I was stronger than Christine. And I was right behind her, so I caught her quite fast. So I felt I had that under control. But the other one, I was never thinking I was going to get her. No. And then I got her on the Zombie Hill. And I was really tired then when I caught her, but I just tried to run for her, thinking, okay, I'm just going to run as long as I can. She started running right behind me. And I was like, oh, she's strong. And I was just like, oh, I'm just going to have to push it until she drops. And then I felt she was dropping, so I kept running for a while. And then I started walking, and then I was walking. So it was tough. I did not know this was... And then I came down here, and it was 1.5K to go, and I was thinking, oh, my God, I don't know. But it was hard.
How far behind you are there now? Do you know? Did you see them?
I have no idea.
No? Okay.
I don't know. I was stressed the whole time. Mm-hmm. Someone said when I started the hike or the start of the mountain, someone said she was like 200 meters behind me, and I was like, oh, I was so scared. I told my husband, I was like, I don't think I can do it. I really don't think I can. I was so tired then. But then it was just walking, hiking hard the whole time.
So, but you are not experienced with ultra triathlon? Right?
I've never done it before. So this was my first. Actually, I did my first triathlon Xtreme race in July in Colorado, and this was my first long distance thing. I never ridden my bike this far. I never swam this far before.
Very impressive.
I've run this far either ever before, so it was definitely extreme for me.
You should be happy now.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Very, very happy. I was thinking that I wanted to say, oh, I'm never doing this again, but maybe I will.
I bet you will.
It was definitely hard. Great race, though. Oh. Yeah, that's good. Congratulations. Thank you.
There we go. Anne Nevin, or Anna Nevin, pronounced in the Norwegian fashion, the winner of the women's race. A fascinating insight there into the move that sort of finished the race there. She was in 3rd position. She came by Christine Lee, and she thought Christine Lee looked pretty strong. Then she saw Meredith Hill, and she attacked from the back. Meredith is on her way in now in 2nd place, so it's a very, very, very close race. Just a couple of minutes separating them, separating the two athletes. But incredible insight into how she passed her out there, and she looked over her shoulder and she saw Meredith breaking into a bit of a run again, and she thought, I'm just going to have to keep going until she drops, which is a serious killer instinct, it has to be said. But she is a very experienced half marathon runner. She has this might have been her first try at a triathlon today, but what an incredible performance, dog.
Yeah, no, that was once again, we've seen some spectacular stuff earlier today, but this was very impressive as well.
Amazing. Here she comes, the hero of Australia. This is Meredith Hill. They're all up. They've been up half the night in Australia waiting for this moment. No,
No,
this is
it's
not
not.
her at all. No. You'll have to stay up for another little while, Australia. You might have another cup of tea just yet, but she is on the way. We are keeping an eye out. There's one man who's delighted with himself. There we go. Never swam this far, never biked this far, never ran this far. Impressive win and long course debut by Anna Naveen.
2:38, Anders Kittelsen.
There's Anders. I used to Anders Kittelsen. We saw him a little bit earlier on there, further down the course there. Anders wrapped up in a blanket there. The sun is going in again. I think the heat, whatever little bit of heat was on the top of the mountain now, is well and truly gone for the time being. Yeah, it was Anders up to par there, so we can take that away. Let me see. We have another. Yeah, then we have another male competitor finishing up there.
It's Andreas Martinussen.
Andreas Martinussen, another Norwegian finisher. There you go. Take you with the GPS on and the whole lot. I'm not sure what's tattoos and what's stickers there, but that is indeed Andreas Martinussen coming across. There we go. We're going to have a look back out and see if we can find Meredith. She can't be too far away now. The distance between the two wasn't that much. There's a few minutes between them. I think Meredith, unfortunately, just ran out of gas there towards the end. And once she knew that the first place was gone, I think she just let it slide just a little bit. So safety first here as she tries to keep the Australian flag flying late into the night. Great to see the support for her on social media. Our team up there will be keeping an eye out now to see. She should be arriving very, very soon. We're going to go back down the mountain and see what we can see. We are down on... we were down there on Zombie Hill. Now we're just pulling away again. But I'm sure at this stage in the race, there's quite a few racers around this area there. Just as the car pulls away from the athletes in shot there. It's a little bit empty there, so it's one of the gaps on the course. 246 athletes. And 246 athletes that started out today. We lost 2 of them to the cutoff on the swimming. When we looked the last time, the cutoff for the cycling has now passed by, right? It was at 5 o'clock Central European time. That was 12 minutes ago. Do we know if we lost any cyclists at that point, Dog? Maybe we can have a quick look at that.
I will check.
That point would have come 12 hours after the race started this morning. So they would have had a 3.8 kilometre swim and then 12 hours in total there, the 180 kilometre bike ride. It's an awful long way to go to be cut off at 5 o'clock. But we'll have a quick look and see if we can find out if there's any non-finishers. These pictures are coming to you back from the top of the mountain where we expect to see Meredith Hill at some point very, very soon. We also have a question coming in here on social media, and the Oracle of the Norseman is sitting here beside me, so I may as well ask him straight out. Yi Husay is asking, is the winner or podium finishers automatically invited back next year? So if somebody wins here today, Lars Christian wins here today, we have Anna here today, will they automatically be invited next year, or does that remain to be seen? Is that at your discretion?
No, the winners will always be invited back.
Okay, the winners will always be invited back.
The quota, or the way we do it when we enter our elite athletes is you need to have a top finish at a Ironman race, challenge race, or an extreme triathlon.
Okay.
And then we try to compare these by using a 5-person jury that then creates a ranking. The winners will always go in. I don't think we've ever not taken number 2 and number 3. So they pretty much guaranteed a slot next year.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking now that the competition for places is getting bigger and bigger. There are over 3,000 applicants to take part in this race this year. I'm sure this broadcast today is going to bring this race to even more people. Is there ever a situation where it's just going to get too much? You're just going to get too many. You've got to start sort of giving away the places rather than just sort of choosing people to take part.
Well, until. We are looking at new ways of doing this, and part of that is the new Xtreme World Tour concept.
Yes.
So when we have finalized the details around there, we will we will communicate that, and hopefully that will be not too late this fall.
Yeah, and will that work as a sort of a qualifying system for this race?
It may very well do, but we haven't actually sat down and started the planning. First we deliver this event, and then we start the real nitty-gritty planning of what we do in 2019 and moving forward from there.
There we go. Dag Oliver, General Manager of the Norseman, telling us there that there may be a situation whereby other races around the world, in conjunction with the Celtman and the Swissman and the Norseman, that there may well be places up for grabs to the winners or to people who place well in those races. Very, very difficult, of course. There will be people who want to be there on merit. Then you want to keep it as open as possible for people to go in and register. I think part of the excitement here and part of the hype is actually being one of the lottery winners, getting the golden ticket for the race.
We will always be open to everyone. We want to have the fast triathletes, we want to have the slow triathletes, we want to have happy, smiling people that get their dream of getting a bucket list race on their list. We will never discontinue the including anyone not just looking for performance.
Yeah. Have you ever got, I'm sure you get mails off people all the time, go, please dog, please can I have, what's the weirdest offer you've ever gotten?
You don't even want to know.
I'll tell you, what's the weirdest offer that's fit for general consumption on YouTube and nrk.no? Has anybody ever come up with something really out of the box?
There has been a couple of out of the box. One was including fish and chip shops and a couple of other things. But when we go back to our true basic and unique concept, we try to be fair enough.
There you go, Australia. You've been awake all night. You've been cheering for her the whole way. And there she is. Meredith Hill is climbing the mountain and she's about to reach the summit in second place. It may be a silver medal, it may be the second place at the podium. It may not even be what she wanted when she set out today. But what an incredible athlete. What an incredible race she put in today. And what incredible drama she was part of. She's coming in second place to Anne, but there is absolutely no shame in that. We're just having a look now to see if we can catch a little bit of a facial expression there, see what the feelings are. I'm sure she's a little bit disappointed, but I think she will look back on this second place in the Norseman and realise what a fantastic achievement it was. Time will heal those wounds of being passed out and of not being able to answer, but what an incredible athlete. Australia can be proud tonight. There she goes, the big smile, the exhaustion, and the moment when it finally hits you that you completed the 226 kilometres of the Norseman. There we go. We have Mohammed in the picture. We can see the guys from Team Bob with the Norway flags around them. We're just going to see, do you recognise whereabouts that is on the course?
This is at the cutoff at 32k.
Okay, so this is the dream fulfilled.
This is his dream.
There he is, there's Mohammed. He's sitting there with the Team Bob guys. He looks quite happy. I don't know if he's just fixing the artificial part of his leg.
And putting on new tape.
Yeah. So they're just changing it a little bit. You can see a different foot going on there now for the last few kilometres now. He has about 10 kilometres left to go, or a little under 10 kilometres left to go. There you can see him changing the plate on the foot there. So the last part now is the mountain trail, that kind of thing. Remarkable what technology can do and open things up for an athlete like Mohammed. He's going to put the second part of the blade on. We are going back. There we are. There's Meredith Hill talking to Meredith. Maybe not talking about it just yet.
Okej, vi kör strax.
Vi kör. Meredith, congratulations with the second.
Yeah, I think second.
Actually, you had the lead.
Yeah.
In the start of the run leg.
Yeah, I think once we got to the hill, I couldn't run as much as the girl who passed me, so I figured
But you were running now the last meters here. Yeah. You look strong.
Yeah, I walked a little bit, but I think I conserved my energy by walking as fast as I could and had some stomach issues, so I think that's all I could do, so I'm happy with second.
Yes, you should be. But were you hoping for number one?
Oh, look, I really didn't know what to expect because, there's Norwegians here and I live in a very flat country with no mountains, and so I don't get to practice. I had no idea what to expect. I knew I was fit enough to be towards the podium, but I wasn't ever thinking first.
However,
for sure.
It was a rough day, right?
I think the conditions are actually pretty good compared to what I've heard in the past. So I thought it was quite good conditions, and I knew this would be hard, and it was hard, but it's exactly what I expected.
Will you do Norseman again?
I probably need to sleep on it.
Really?
Yeah, it's been an amazing race. This is one of the highlights of my life.
There you go. One of the highlights of her life, says Meredith Hill. An absolutely superb performance and a tremendous sportswoman. Very gracious there. She made no excuses. She just said, look, I couldn't run as fast as the girl who passed me by. But a tremendous performance all the same. Australia, you can be proud. I'm sure many of you will be heading off to bed now. Thank you very, very much for being with us. And make sure to favourite this YouTube channel and to click like on the Facebook page. And we'll be seeing you again soon if Meredith does decide to come back, although she has said that she's going to sleep on it. We are back with Mohamed Lana of Morocco via the USA. A big hug there for somebody in a white t-shirt. That looks like the white t-shirt he got there in 2014. That's his wife there. The encouragement is going on there. You can see how low the leg has gone, and he's hobbling off there. Just getting up to speed there now, testing it out as he goes, making sure the height is right. He has passed by, he's in position 120 at the moment. He has passed by the promised land for him is where he is now. He is going to get his black t-shirt if he just makes it to the very, very top. And now he can take his time about it, Doug. He's no hurry from here on in.
Well, not really. He's got an hour to get to the next to the mountain entry.
Okay.
And from there, he again needs to.
He needs to get to the top.
Move forward.
Yeah, he's got to keep moving forward now. So an hour to get to the next entry. How far is it to the next entry? Is it
5 kilometers?
It's 5 kilometers. Okay, so he has an hour to get it there. Yeah, you're always going to back Mohamed in that situation to make it. How is the trail there? How's the ground? Is it going to be easy for him to run?
The first 5K, it's paved road, so but it's the final 5K that will be challenging with the prosthesis.
So you'd probably say that, like an athlete like Mohamed, you're still talking about a Paralympian. He should be able to knock off the first 5K in maybe a half an hour.
Yeah.
Good. So we should be seeing him here really soon indeed. Lars Christian Wold. That is in that's Stade Francais again. That is in French, so I'm not going to attack that right now. Denise Meredith's frog say go, go Meredith, go. So she's still getting a lot of love out there. That is Meredith sitting down there with her cup of soup there. So we're taking the best care of her we possibly can. We have, I think that might be one of our race. That is one of our race organisers there. Maybe she's, or maybe that's a journalist there who's asking her a few questions. I don't know. I think we might be going back down to the gate at 32 kilometres. That's the cut-off point down here, right? When everybody gets here, this is where the medical exam happens, right? This is where we ask them. Is this where we ask them if they're fit enough to continue to the top?
At 32k,
At 32k, okay. That's the point that Mohamed has just left there now. So obviously the judgment was made that Mohamed is fit enough to go on to the top. We'll be checking with every athlete now until there's 160 of them gone up the hill. The rest will have to come here to the hotel, slightly flatter, but equally the same length. There you are, keep her lit new daddy Tig Cowhig, 10k to go, we're all so proud of you. That's Ronan Flood in Ireland there, obviously watching us on YouTube or on nrk.com. I'm going to go with YouTube, I'd say. Ronan, that's great support there for Tig, our countryman there. I come from Ireland, as does Tig. I'm looking forward to meeting him a little bit later on and to hearing his story of his escapades today. We have another couple of people coming in to the finish line. We can't see any numbers there. Looks like one of the male competitors. I'm not sure who it is just yet. 158. That should pop up on the screen there soon enough. Let me see, who's that?
No, we don't have them yet.
Yeah, we have Jean Duepet. No, that was, I pronounced that in French, but it's not French at all. It's a Norwegian name. Joam Duepet. I don't know how we're going to attack that, but that is indeed Joam anyway, making his way to the top there. Very casual there, very casual. And a big shout goes up. I think the biggest shout went up from Joachim himself as he crossed the line in a time of 12 hours, 23 minutes and 54 seconds after leaving Eidfjord this morning. The time is now 24 minutes past 5 Central European time. We have Bastia van der Veen, just like last year, number 24, said, "This is one of the highlights of my life. Congratulations to the second female from Australia. That was Meredith Hill, who climbed the mountain today and came in second place. Absolutely staggering performance. Both her and Anna Nevin, who won the women's race, competing for the first time here in Norseman, and indeed Anna competing for the first time in an extreme triathlon event, an event of this length. It's turning into quite a pleasant evening here in Norway. We can still see the mountain there behind us. The clouds are managing to hold off for the time being. The weather gods are being kind to us. This is about the 32-kilometre point here now, so we will get a few support cars stopping there. We'll get a few well-wishers, a few spectators dropping in to have a look and to see what's going on here. Doug, you have to be content with the way this has gone today. Did you ever in your wildest dreams, when we got up very, very early this morning, think that we'd be sitting here with a sub-10-hour winner and a winner like Anna Nevin, who's never taken part in a full-length triathlon before?
This has been just an epic day of Norseman racing. So, and with the start, with the weather, and just the atmosphere that we've seen throughout the whole race, it's been truly epic.
Yeah. It's been a fantastic day's racing. Of course, some of the things that make such a great day of racing so great are out of your control, in terms of we had a nice little current this morning during the swim that enabled the elite athletes to get out a little bit ahead of the pack. Took about 54 minutes for some of them to make the 3.8 kilometre swim. After that, bits of a tailwind through parts of the course when they really needed it most, especially across the plateau there in the middle of the 180 kilometre cycle. We have had a few downpours. We have had some tough situations out on the course, but all in all, it's been pretty good. And even towards the end here, as you can see, the sun shining a little bit, the mountain top clear in the back of your picture there. It has been a tremendously enjoyable experience to sit here and to commentate on this. We're going to keep going for another little while. We are looking forward to getting the winners down here. If Lars Christian Wold is in the building, we'll get the production team to bring him out to us as soon as he gets here. I wouldn't say he's in any hurry to talk to me now after that. I'm sure he'll want to get into the shower and rest his legs a little bit before he comes out and joins us out here. Is there anything you've seen today, Dog, that you would like to do better next year? Is there anything that's popped up, maybe in some of the feeds? I know you're listening to the walkie-talkie communication there as well, but have you heard anything you go, yeah, that can be done better next year? Or are you just basking in the glory of the event right now?
It's all about the weather. Next time, sun, so we're warmer in the morning when we sit here. Yeah. No, by the looks of it, we've had a very good day. We haven't had a lot of penalties, which is always good. Yep. Feedback is that support vehicles have been behaving very, very well.
Excellent.
So very few dangerous situations.
Yep.
We only had one cyclist that didn't make the bike cutoff.
Okay.
So no, the race has been progressing beautifully.
Yeah. When you say we didn't have that many penalties today, of course, any support car acting up, anybody breaching any of the rules, that would have meant that they would have had a 5-minute penalty where they sit in one of the penalty boxes. Some lovely deck chairs, but nobody wants to spend 5 minutes admiring the other racers as they pass by there. So how many penalties would you say we had? Have you heard of many of them?
I haven't checked the latest numbers, but I checked a couple of hours ago, and then we had, I think, 6 or 7.
6 or 7, that's not too bad, yeah.
So hopefully we haven't gotten a lot after that.
Yeah, I can't imagine there being too many added to that. I do think that the addition of the 5-minute penalty, the fact that you could apply the 5-minute penalty to the support cars as well, seems to have made a whole lot of difference to how they behaved out on the roads today. You don't get people sort of driving down the wrong side of the road as they went along. As I say, we're here on air for another little while yet. You can join us on NXTRI 2017. So that's the Norseman Xtreme Triathlon 2017 hashtag. It's there on Twitter. Feel free to throw in your quotes and your comments and your questions and everything you've got there. We're looking forward to the first athletes getting over here, having a chat with some of them, some of the winners. They're on their way down the mountain as we speak. As Dog mentioned earlier on, they're taking in a sort of a lift down the mountain, an elevator down the mountain, and then brought over here. So hopefully we'll have a chance to have a little bit of a chat with them there. I'd imagine at this stage, if we have a quick look at the map there, if we have the map that we can bring up, we'll just see exactly where they are on the course at the moment. There is a bit of a stream there of athletes making their way up the mountain at this point in time, so it should be a fairly steady stream from now on. You can see dots along there. A lot of these would be past, they would be on the mountain already, so they would have been past Zombie Hill and that kind of thing. So it seems to be a very quick race overall. We've spoken about the sub 10 hour time that Lars Christian Wold won the race in. And we've also spoken about the quickness of the race overall. It's been incredibly quick. The women's record has been broken as well. As Dag leaves us very, very briefly there, a busy man, the general manager. He's not involved in the operation of the race, but he's always involved in something behind the scenes there, all right. If it happens to be giving out those 5-minute penalties we talked a little bit about. As he did mention a little bit earlier on, if you're sitting there and you're feeling inspired by the athletes that you've seen in this race today and you want to take part next year, get in training. November 2018 is when the invitation goes out and you can take part there. We will go back to Kirill Boldyrev. Great thanks to all the organisers of the triathlon and for this thrilling event going live. Tons of kudos to all the athletes for their strength and will. It is possibly the most impressive thing you will ever see when so many people go and deal with it and take on these 226 kilometres swimming, biking and running. As we see one of the athletes coming up here now. I'm not sure who it is we're looking at. It is Kristen Lee. It is the 2015 winner. She's coming in third place there, making her way up the final few steps there. No real threat to anybody taking the third place off her. Christine started. She's egging the crowd on. The very popular Norwegian athlete there, grabbing a round of applause, basking in the applause. She was dropped a little bit earlier there, but maybe 15-20k into the race. Her race was sort of run there. At that stage was Meredith Hill, who had gone ahead, as had eventual winner Anna Nevin there. And now she's making her way up the final few steps. No great pressure. 12 and a half hours. Almost 12 hours and 31 minutes after she set out this morning. Here she comes. Little joke there, Norwegian. Didn't quite hear what she said, but the Norwegian crowd delighted to see her cross the finish line. We have a microphone under her nose. Wouldn't surprise me if Meredith out there is asking her questions very, very soon indeed. We'll hand it over to Meredith out there and let her start asking a few questions. Here we go. Getting a blanket around her shoulders to keep her warm.
Okay, vi kjører.
Jeg kjører.
Congratulations to...
Kristin, orker du å snakke?
Ja. Jeg kan prate 12 timer, jeg nå.
Okay, let's do it in English then.
Nei, det var ikke det du spurte om.
Okay, det er greit. Vi tar det på norsk, da, så kan studio følge litt med å oversette etterpå.
Ja.
Du, er du fornøyd med tredjeplass, eller? Jeg var litt usikker på hvordan jeg skulle tolke din ankomst her nå.
Nei, altså det var liksom for å være en spøk, men det sier jo liksom sånn at man looking good og masse sånn. Og det er bare visfas. Men altså, hverken kropp eller utstyret spilte på lag i dag. Så jeg trodde faktisk allerede over Hardangervidda, rett etter Dyramøtet, at jeg aldri kom til å fullføre sykkeletappen. Fordi de der styregreiene foran løsna.
Men du så veldig sterk og bra ut som nummer 2 ut fra på rønnlegg.
Åja. Nei, jeg følte meg ikke veldig bra. Nei.
Men tredjeplass i Norseman, Kristin, det er jo veldig, veldig bra.
Førsteplass første gangen jeg var med, andreplass andre gangen jeg var med, og tredjeplass tredje gangen jeg var med.
Ja, men da går det nedover da.
Ja, men det gjør ikke det, vet du, egentlig. Men jeg burde jo egentlig stoppe etter første gang.
Men jeg tror ikke noe på at alle skal gjøre det igjen.
Jo, men det skulle jeg ha lovt meg selv.
Ok.
For det finnes så mange fine triathlonkonkurranser. Norseman er unikt, for all del, men det finnes mange andre fine fjell man kan klatre på. Ha det!
God restitusjon da.
Jo, takk.
God tur ned.
Jeg tror jeg faktisk ikke...
There we go, Christine Lee, who came in third place in the women's race there. A fantastic performance there by Christine. She spoke in Norwegian after the race, and she said that she seemed to have a little problem with the steering on her bike there, if I heard her correctly. She also said that she came first the first time she took part. She came second the second time she took part, and third the third time she took part. So if she takes part a fourth time next year, I'm sure she's going to want to win it again. We are going back out to the field where we are going to talk to one of the support crews in a few minutes' time. Always interesting to hear how it's going for their athletes out there. Obviously, the athletes don't have a whole lot of time to talk to us, but the support crews have a little bit more, and of course, they're in constant contact with the athletes pretty much out there. We will go back over to the 32.5 kilometre cut-off. Anders, what do you got for us?
Det er Henning som er sjefen. Henning! Vi må gjøre et intervju med deg. Det er ikke meg, da. Men vi må gjøre det på engelsk. Jo, vi tar det med. På engelsk? Vi går ut i hele verden her, vet du. Så du heter Henning? Henning Anders her. Hvor ofte er dere her? Hva sa du? Hvor ofte er dere her? Ja, det er 5 år nå. Ja, okay, we're here with Henning from Team Bob. It's your 5th year here, and you already baptized this turn as the
Bob's turn, Bob swinging in Norwegian. Yes.
And why are you here watching all the athletes?
We are a team who's bicycling, and we go 170 kilometers up here, standing here on Saturday and going down on Sunday again. 170 kilometers back home.
So who's your big hero today?
All of them, but we have one special one, Mohammed. He's going to take black shirt this year, and he's one leg, so he's our favorite.
How many of you guys are here every year?
5 years.
Are you coming back next year?
I think so. We're trying to be like a legend.
Can we get a big cheer from the guys?
Hey! Big cheer! Kom igjen, da! Litt kjappe!
Where it looks like we have a couple of finishers coming in there. There's definitely one of the athletes with the gloves on, with his LA Dodgers baseball cap on, and a Norwegian flag sticking out of his bag. I haven't managed to see a number there, so I'm guessing that is indeed one of the athletes, but we can't see who it is at this moment in time. There are still plenty of them out on the course there, but if anybody catches sight of the number, I'm sure they'll be able to tell us who that was that just made their way up there. Before that, we had an interview with Team Bob, who are down at what they have now decided to call Bob's Corner. Bob's Corner is the 32.5 kilometre cut-off on the race. That's basically where it's decided who gets to go forward, who the 160 athletes are that get to go to the top of the mountain and finish up there. That's where that happens. So this is where Team Bob hang out there. They applaud as they go along. And of course, they spoke a little bit of their love for Mohammed. And Mohammed is going to achieve his dream of going home from here with a black finishers t-shirt this year. So tremendous moment for him. Great to see guys like Team Bob out there. They cycle up the hill at the weekend. They're going to cycle back down again tomorrow. It's going to be an awful lot easier to get back down. We saw them cycling up yesterday. A lot of big calf muscles among those guys there, but plenty of practice being put in there. And we see more and more and more of the athletes making their way up. This is Erik Jodal of Norway making his way up there. I'm not sure what the hand signal is supposed to be there. I'm assuming it's some sort of, okay, somebody get me a beer kind of thing there. 12 hours, 37 minutes and 39 seconds after he set off. Erik gives a kiss to his support team there. May very well be the first of many, having made it all the way through. Again, the amazing mix of emotions, the relief, the fatigue, the exhaustion, the joy, the sense of teamwork as well when they cross the finish line there. You can see it in Erik's face there. There's a whole load of mixed up things going on there. Corey is asking me on YouTube. Great coverage, guys, watching on YouTube. Any chance of extra entries in the draw for next year? Corey, I'll ask him when Dog gets back. I promise I'll ask him for you, buddy, but I sincerely doubt it. We got Canadian Triathlete there. The Canadian Triathlete is the hashtag he's using there. You never know. Send him an email. Stranger things have happened. The hashtag we are using for our coverage today is NXTRI 2017. Norseman Xtreme Triathlon 2017 is what that is short for. We now have Erik Jodal wrapped up in a blanket by his support team. The level of exhaustion is incredible, and of course they're all brought straight into the heat. They get the heat back into their bodies, and a bowl of soup or a cup of soup is administered there. We do have medical teams up there at the very, very top. And so if anybody needs anything like that, but for the most part, they tend to recover reasonably quickly. We're going to stay here for the time being because there's another few athletes coming up to the top. There is number 55. Can't see who that is, and we're going to get that though. But it is athlete number 55. Looks like one of the female competitors, and it is indeed Charlotte Knudsen of Norway. What an incredible performance by Charlotte. The top three in the women's race seem to open up a quite insurmountable lead. Now, I know Charlotte didn't really catch up with them as she lies down there exhausted on the ground, but she made a huge inroads into that lead in the running part of the race, and it's absolutely no strange fact that she's now lying down. No surprise whatsoever that she's now lying down and trying to recover some of her energy. She really left it all out on the course during the marathon that ends the Norseman race. Again, we do have the medical staff on hand there. It is a little bit of tiredness, a little bit of fatigue there. You can see her nodding her hair there. She's nodding her head there. She's responding to the people around her, so there's no great worries for her health there. I'd say she's just delighted. There you go. She's back up again. Yeah. There's Charlotte now taking a little bit of time to take in her surroundings. I hope she has a few moments to enjoy getting to the top of the mountain. She's looking good. Number 55. There you go, superb performance there by Charlotte. We're hearing in our headsets here that it won't be long now before we get the first of the winner interviews here. I'm assuming it's Lars Christian Wold, who's on his way into us in about 5-10 minutes time. We should be getting to see him here. So keep your comments coming, keep your questions coming. NXTRI2017 is the hashtag that we're checking out today. So if you have anything to say, I'm assuming at this stage that all of Australia has gone to bed, having seen Meredith Hill come in a tremendous second place after a superb battle with Anne Nevin for the women's title there. Anne winning the race, Meredith coming second, and then Christine Lee coming in third, and Charlotte Knudsen that we just saw there coming in fourth position there. So a most amazing women's race there. Four very, very tough, very, very capable, very, very talented women at the top of that field there. An amazing day's racing. Started out at about 10 to 5 this morning as the racers jumped into the water off the ferry. They would have been collected very, very early. They had to sign in by 3 o'clock. Then they had to get down to the ferry, which left at 4 o'clock. Jump into the water at about 10 to 5. We'd started broadcasting about 5 minutes before that. They lined up behind a set of safety boats. And then when the horn sounded on one of the boats, they set off on a 3.8 kilometre swim. The 3.8 kilometre swim for the fastest athletes took about 54 minutes. And after that then, they were up onto the bikes for the 180 kilometre track across 5 peaks here in the Norwegian mountains. A very, very tough environment to cycle across. The inclines were very, very steep. The climbs, as always, were very, very tough. But today, the weather was a little bit kinder than it has been on previous occasions. After that, the 180 kilometre cycle, they got to Transition 2. Transition 2 was where they passed the bikes over to their teams, their support teams, and from Transition 2 they just had the small matter of a marathon until they got up to the top of the mountain. There are plenty more athletes today who are going to make it to the top of the mountain, but for the time being everybody is going to make it everybody's going to make it to the top, the first 160. We are going to have a quick look here. So proud of Jonas Reinhammer, number 265, taking part in the Norseman Xtreme Triathlon 2017, was 230 out of the water, now 146 at the 32.5 kilometre cutoff. That's some ground that Jonas has made up. Go, go, go. Good luck to all the athletes, says Nikki. Tremendous there by Jonas. A little bit of a slow start in the swimming. 230 out of 246 starters there, and he's really eaten them up there through the cycling and indeed through the running. He's one of the athletes at the 32.5 kilometre cutoff. So that means that he is going to be one of the 160 who get the black finishers t-shirt, provided he makes the next cutoff and provided he makes his way all the way to the top. Another one doing that is our friend Mohammed, who is on his way to the top as well. They've still got a little bit of work left to do, but they're past the major cutoff. They've been deemed fit to continue. So it's a wonderful achievement for them setting out. Of course, many people looking for that fantastic black t-shirt that carries so much weight in the triathlon world. Is there any other triathlon around that has that sort of weight? You know, if you compete in, say, Ironman in Hawaii or that kind of thing, you know, that somebody gives you a t-shirt, you go, I'm going to wear this with pride at every triathlon I go to for the rest of my career.
I think we have the ultimate one.
This is the ultimate one. This is the ultimate triathlon.
For sure. But there are other races that have the same status, of course.
Yeah.
But the T-shirt is simply one of a kind.
Yep. And if you want to get that T-shirt, you've got to get to this point that we're looking at now, 32.5 kilometers into the race. We have only 8 spaces left if you want to win a black t-shirt. So for those who are on the way to the cutoff at 32.5 kilometers, you gotta get there pretty quickly. There's 8 t-shirts up for grabs. And not only that, when you get there, you've got to make it to the next cutoff, which is 5 kilometers further down the road. And you also have to make it to the top of the mountain. If you don't make it to the top, I'm assuming there's no t-shirt there, dog, right? Nope. This is only for finishers. It's not for people who make it to the cutoff. If you get to the cutoff, you earn the chance to win the t-shirt. So what would happen then if a racer was to break off sometime between 32.5k and the end? You'd only give out 159 t-shirts. That's basically it.
Did not finish.
Yeah, it's just a DNF straight up.
Yeah.
It's tough. As I say, this man sitting right beside me, he's tough, but he's very, very fair. He is Dog Oliver. He is the man who knows everything there is to know about the Norseman, general manager of the race, and a very much appreciated expert commentator here beside me today. Keep the comments coming in there. NXTRI 2017. We've got about an hour left here that's going to be filled with interviews and impressions from the athletes.
But there is a thing to remember about this 32 cutoff. This is a safety restriction.
Yeah.
And yes, we do make a difference between the black t-shirts and the white t-shirts, but there is no question about it that finishing Norseman Xtreme Triathlon is a feat on its own.
Yep.
So everyone that finishes the full distance is a true Norseman, and they can wear their shirt black or white with pride. And you will see later on tonight when the finishers start coming outside the hotel here, that's the real true heroes.
This is the thing, because essentially they spend so much time on the course, right? The guys who come further down, forget the elite, forget the winners, forget the people who go up the top. The people who are out there on the course now, and maybe you've just made the switch, you know, an hour ago from the bike to the run. They're starting their marathon now.
Yep.
These are not 3.5 hours. These are not guys with sort of sub 3 hour marathons on their record. These are people who are basically going to keep putting it up and put it down. Maybe not the best technique in the world, but they're going to make it here over the finish line in 5, maybe 6 hours time. Do you expect them to be here a little bit earlier this year because of the weather, or even their times a little bit faster maybe than normal?
Well, so we have had we've had new course records for men and women.
Yeah.
Last year we had the last person passing through the 160 in 13 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
By the looks of it now, it'll be 13 hours. So we actually have a record time on the cutoff as well. So that may mean that we in total have everyone finishing by 11 o'clock, which would be nice.
Everyone finished by 11 o'clock, by closing time in London, as they say.
Exactly.
So that wouldn't be too bad. It would be nice for the athletes, of course. You know, I know these people, they do go out there, they do this because they enjoy doing it, they do this because they're competitors, because they're athletes, but you still feel a certain amount of sympathy for somebody who's out on that course for 12 or 14 hours or more. You know, it is very, very tough going, and they will stay out there until the bitter end if they're allowed to stay out there at all. As Dag was saying a little bit earlier on, when it comes to the tail of the field there, it's all about forward progress. As long as they are making forward progress, they will not be taken off the course, but they've got to keep going forward. There's no sitting down at that point. There's no resting. You've got to keep going forward if you want to get your finisher's t-shirt. You've got to make it up here to the hotel, or indeed to the top of the mountain. Towards the top of the mountain, we can see a few people walking towards that now. We're just zooming in there. I don't know. Yeah, that is indeed one of the competitors. I can't see the number now. It's a little bit obscured by the bars there. 160 is the number on the bib there, on the vest. And we're just going to see how many spaces are left after this athlete goes through. We'll find out who it is. It is Maciej Lasik from Poland, one of our Polish athletes there today. Reaches the 32-kilometre barrier. He looks delighted with himself. Several times he's raised his fists there. He knows that he's going to be one of the chosen 160. But as Dalek says, maybe we're placing a little bit too much emphasis on the fact that there are 160 people who go up there. It is only a safety thing. The triathlon is the same length, regardless of whether you make it to the top of the mountain or whether you come here to the hotel. So, you know, it might be a little bit tougher to get to the top, but I don't think that really matters at the end of the day. I mean, we said that everybody who finishes this race is a hero. Everybody who takes part in this race is a hero to me. Just to show up, to do this training at all. As we look at another athlete coming through here, Tokyo Runner on his T-shirt doesn't remind me of any particular match there, or any particular competition. This is Henrik Charlson from Norway as well. I'm wondering, he's in place, it looks like 100, Henrik Charlson, 155, so there's 5 more spots after Henrik.
And we need to keep in mind, they're doing a manual count at the spot.
Yeah.
Because we know there are some chips out there missing.
Okay.
So there could be maybe 1 or 2 more going through.
So it could be already closed off. We don't know.
It's not up to us to do the counting.
Yeah, we won't do any official sort of counting here, in the same way as we don't do any official timings here. We'll wait on that. The race director, Toril, she has everything there under control. As we see some of the support teams. There's a gentleman there just behind. He looks in serious pain there, all right. But once they tell him he's headed up the top of the mountain, I'd say he wouldn't be too bad. There's a selfie being taken at the 32.5 kilometre mark. Obviously a bit of a landmark for some people. The sun is again coming out behind us here at the hotel at Gaustablik.
And you can see Toril, our race director, in the yellow vest in the background there.
Oh, that's Toril right there. Yeah, we haven't seen her for a long time. It's a long time since she spoke to us this morning, but she's been a busy woman all day, keeping everything ticking over.
She's the machine in this.
Has Toril competed herself? Has she taken part in Norseman before?
It's a good question. I don't think she has.
I'm just wondering
because her husband has done it a couple of times.
Her husband has, okay, because when you meet Toril, she seems like exactly the kind of very competent person that you want to be running the show like this. How was she recruited, or did she volunteer herself for this particular job?
She's been volunteering to various events in this region, and I got to know her a couple of years, 5-6 years ago, and yeah, she was exactly that competent person you want to bring into a team.
Yeah. Am I remembering correctly when I say she's a school teacher? Is that right?
She's a school teacher.
There you go. So when the schools come back in Norway next week, we will use her talents, and she has used them very well herself here today. The race has basically gone off without a hitch. I don't think we've heard of any major problems or controversies or even injuries around the course at all.
I don't think I've ever seen it this smooth.
It's not like you're saying that with a regretful tone in your voice. You're delighted that this
makes me really happy.
What was the big fear for you coming into today? When you woke up this morning, what is the one thing you really didn't want? Was it bad weather or snow? Or?
Bad support drivers.
Bad support drivers.
The single biggest danger we have out on the course is overactive support drivers. Okay. When they behave, we're usually okay.
It makes life an awful lot easier for the race marshals, for the stewards, for the athletes themselves. Yeah. You seem to have had some poor experiences in the past, maybe. Could you share 1 or 2 of the dumb things that support drivers have done in the past?
We have some illustration photos from way back with just support forgetting to put the handbrake on and just lose the car. We've had people being used to driving automatics, which basically kill their clutch before they come to the first tunnel. So stuff happens. She actually killed 2 clutches before she came to the top.
Wow, that's pretty good going.
It makes it challenging to find rental cars at that time.
I'd say it does. It makes it challenging to bring them back as well if you burnt out 2 clutches. It's definitely a country that you want to have an automatic car in here in Norway, especially in the part of Norway that we're in. Quite mountainous, quite a lot of tunnels, quite a lot of arduous driving there. We're seeing, is that a support car? I can't see a sticker on it, but he's taken off at a fair rate of knots there. We can see there's a gentleman who's very pleased with himself, slightly hunched over, having a hard time keeping his form together there. But Toril is stretching out her hand and congratulating him. I'm assuming that maybe he might have made the last 160 Giro la Mabruska. I think we have Stade Francais are tweeting us in French here the whole time on the hashtag NXTRI 2017. And unfortunately, I can't see it close enough, and my French is too rusty to be able to translate that. Anna Wretling from Sverige, from Sweden. We have seen Anna Wretling take part in some of these races before. Quite an experienced competitor in terms of endurance races. She looks a little bit tired there. I'm sure the medical staff are going to have a quick word with her and see. She has a support person with her, and they will make a judgment of whether she's fit enough to continue all the way to the top. We have Jenny Cowans there sending a tweet to Pablo. She's saying, nice screen time on Zombie Hill there, Pablo. This is Pablo Burt, who describes himself as competitive in eating, drinking coffee and exercising. An Ironman has taken part in Kona, part of the Black Lion London team. So the London posse representing here this evening. A great day at the Black Shirt Club. He's into the Black Shirt Club. That hashtag is starting to trend here on our Twitter in any case. Christine Foskum, no, that's not Christine Foskum. Yeah, it is Christine Foskum, number 64, yeah. In place 158. Again, these positions, these are entirely provisional. It is up to race director Thoril. So they're in and around 160 now, so we can't say with any great certainty that they're making the Black T-shirt club. Any news on Andy Slater, asked Tony Jeffries. Maybe we can do a quick search for Andy Slater and see where he is.
Let's give him 2 minutes. I will get back to Andy.
Yeah, we'll get back to Andy Slater in 2 minutes, Tony Jeffries. So if you stay tuned there on YouTube or on nrk.nco. Stephen Brady there from Great Britain, also making his way towards the 32.5 kilometre checkpoint there. The race leader Thoril leading him away there. It seems that he's not going to be allowed to make it up the mountain. Thoril pointing out with her left hand. Stephen obviously will be very disappointed if he's not allowed to make it up to the top of the mountain, but it's tough, but it's fair. This is the way it goes. 160 athletes only. It's not done out of any sense of malice. It's only for their own safety. That is the number of athletes that we can evacuate safely if anything can happen. I'm sure Thoril doesn't enjoy giving these kinds of decisions to athletes like Stephen Brady from Great Britain, who's been out on the course now for almost 13 hours. He still has 10k left to run. It'll be a slightly flatter, slightly easier 10k, but it will be not as enjoyable maybe as making his way all the way to the top of the mountain. He'll still get his white finisher's t-shirt if he makes it there, and maybe he might enter the lottery again for another chance to do so next year. That's the best we can offer, and it's not a bad deal all the same, coming back here to Norway to take part in the fantastic race that is the Norseman Xtreme Triathlon, the ultimate triathlon on the face of planet Earth. We still have quite a few athletes left out in the field. We're around about the 160 mark there. We see Stephen being sent up towards a hotel. That would tell me by my mathematics that we have, let me see, about, what do we have? About 80 athletes left out on the course yet to get to this point. As Dag was mentioning, we hope to have all the athletes home and safe by 11 o'clock this evening. As we see another athlete walking up there, quite leisurely really, towards the 32.5 kilometre checkpoint. Makes a little bit of a jog there as well. There is race director Thoril. It's good to have someone with the authority of Thoril there. She's the one who has the final call on pretty much everything that happens in this race. Jose Luis Brechist Rodriguez from Spain. There seems to be a little bit of a pause there. Stephen Brady from Great Britain, we just saw him arriving at the gate there a few minutes ago, taking the time to have a little drink, maybe get a little bit of food on board there. And there we go. There's a very eager dog there as well. Maybe the dog wants to run the last 10k alongside Jose Rodriguez there, who's just arrived. If they are being instructed to go towards the hotel, is this the direction they would go?
Yes.
This is, we can see Stephen Brady there leaving the picture. We'll see what happens to Jose Rodriguez. So what we're looking at is what we think are the first athletes going towards the hotel route. So that's up towards us here. Stephen looking a little bit dejected there. He has his jacket around his waist. He's in no hurry whatsoever. It's a little bit sad for Stephen. Of course, I'm sure, like everybody else here, he would have liked to make his way up the mountain, but that's the breaks, unfortunately. He has his support team with him there, folding up the rain jacket now. The weather not that cold here, still around the 12, 13, 14 degrees mark. He'll have to put on his rucksack. He has to have a mobile phone with him, regardless of what.
He'll be excused since they're not heading up to the mountain.
Okay, so it's only those going up the mountain that have to take the backpack.
Exactly.
So he's packing the backpack again. He can give it back to the support team and just make his way up there without it.
Andrew Slater.
Yes, did we find Andrew Slater?
Yes,
Tony Jeffries, are you listening out in YouTube world?
He passed third turn on Zombie Hill, so
okay.
He will go on the white finish course.
Okay, so Andy Slater is past the first turn there, going on the white finish course, still a little bit out from the position we were just watching there, which is 32.5 kilometres in, giving him about 10 kilometres, or let me see, just under 10 kilometres left to run there. A little bit disappointing for the likes of Stephen Brady, but again, people know that when they're coming here, that there is 160 spaces available. Somebody has to be 161, somebody has to be 162, somebody even has to be 163. So they'll still get here. He can still make his way up here, still get his white finisher's t-shirt here at the hotel, and still enjoy the prestige that goes with being a Norseman finisher. And there aren't that many that can say that over the 15 years of the existence of this wonderful, wonderful race. We spoke a little bit earlier on about next year's Norseman already. We know that the registration opens in November 2015, but does it really begin for you on Monday morning, or maybe even tomorrow when you start to plan these things again?
First, we have to basically clean up a little from this year's race, but then planning starts very soon. Yeah.
And if we think back to what happened in Eidfjord this morning, that was where the race started off on the ferry there. Is everything pretty much cleared out and packed up in Eidfjord now and on the way here to where we are?
Yes.
It's all done and dusted. The town is a ghost town by now. No athletes left, no nothing. I'm sure they're missing us greatly, but they're probably watching us here on YouTube. They're probably still following us on nrk.no, just as you are, and we will be here for another hour or so. We're getting a little bit of word from the top of the mountain that we have another athlete ready to finish up there. Oh, right, sorry, we have somebody coming into the studio here. We're both going to stay here. We're going to have Dog is going to be here, and we're going to conduct an interview with one of the winners. They're apparently down off the mountain now. They struggled so hard to get up there, and we bring them down straight away to talk to us here in the studio. But of course, this is all part of the drama that we want to bring to you there at home. So just like Andy Slater, who's made his way up the white course now, it's all about the depth of the course. And now we get to a word from the winners very, very shortly. So under 10 hours, it's a couple of hours now since they made their way in, right?
Yeah.
That's so they've had a little bit of time to recover and that kind of thing. So they'll be on their way into us any second now. So basically, the staff, the marshals, the stewards, they tidy up the course as they go along. They sort of come concertina style.
We have a cleaning vehicle following behind the lost athletes.
And that picks up anything that's left along the way now. So we have... Right, we're getting word that we have the third place athlete in the men's contest. And if I remember rightly, that is our friend from California. That is Jordan Rapp. Jordan, come on in here. Let us shake your hand. Let us congratulate you on your third place there. Sit yourself down there. You probably need a little bit of a break. You look a little bit stiff, my friend. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel all right. I came... I will warn you, I came here for the beer, so you're keeping me from the post-race celebration.
You'll notice how I didn't sit between you and the beer. That would be a dangerous place to be. Don't give him water, Dog. Don't insult the guy by giving him water at this point in time.
It's for me.
It's for you. That's great. Jordan, tell us a little bit about your race. How did it work out this morning when you jumped into the water from the ferry? How did the swim go for you first?
Yeah, I thought I had a better swim than it turned out. I swam with Lars Peder, which I thought was good. I mean, he won the race. I thought there was a boat close to us, so I thought maybe there was a group of maybe 5 of us. I thought I didn't see anyone else. I didn't see any other boats, so I thought we were the lead group, but then I guess there was 2 ahead of us. Lars Christian and then Alan Hovda both were actually and then Lars Christian I think was quite a bit ahead of us. So it was disappointing a little bit to lose a lot of time. I mean, it's hard because everybody jumps in, and then I saw Lars Peder, so I started near him. I had been looking for Lars Christian and Alan to kind of maybe try and start near them, but it's hard to find people in the dark in the morning, and you're looking on all these caps looking for certain numbers. So I think it was, I would have, I think, liked to have had a better swim. I think I could have had a better swim, but you end up in a group, and you're sort of in that group. Yeah. It's really hard to change speed too. If you're in a group, in the cold water, I found that. you sort of, once you sort of get in the rhythm, it's like your arms just go that speed.
But do you realise you're mentally aware of the fact that, look, I'm going with these, I could probably go faster, but I'm just kind of stuck here. You go, okay, I'll just accept that now and get out of the water and see if I can fix it later.
From my perspective, swimming with the defending champion, who is, a reasonably good swimmer, I thought, this is fine. This is...
I'm good here.
Yeah, and he's a strong cyclist. Like I expected... I think typically he has been the strongest rider on the course. Obviously, he raced Ironman Austria 5 weeks ago, had a fantastic performance there, and so I think it's tough to turn around and do a race like this. But I thought he would still probably ride quite strong, especially for the first half, and then I thought that Austria might catch up with him, climbing the hill. I didn't expect him to fade on the bike, and I basically caught him... I think, he had a bit of a faster transition. I was a bit cautious. I think, first time here, the weather was a bit worse than what they had forecast with some rain. So I took some time to put on some extra clothes and things like that. But I ended up catching up to him and then sort of ended up riding away from him. And I thought, I was riding the power that I wanted to ride. I thought I was holding good speed, making good checkpoints. And then the gaps were, it was hard to get, like, I guess the GPS was inconsistent, or it seemed, it was just hard to get splits. But the one thing that was consistent is that I was consistently losing time. And I thought, I'm riding well, for what I had planned to do. And I think I rode a pretty fast time, but I ended up coming off the bike like 20 minutes down. Yeah. At the same time, I think Lars Christian has traditionally not been the strongest runner, and I thought, he really went after it on the bike. I expected that he would. I thought for sure he would probably pop on the hill. Yeah. But he didn't. Kudos to him. He had a breakthrough performance. 9:52 is ridiculously fast on this course.
Did you ever think of sort of changing your plan on the bike, of thinking, right, when you go to the checkpoints and you're aware the team is telling you, look, you're 10 behind, you're 12 behind, you're 8 behind, whatever it happens to be, do you ever think, man, I got to hit the gas here?
Yeah, I took all of those descents, I did them earlier in the week in dry weather. Yeah. And I went faster today on all of them in the rain. So, for sure I knew that I was going to have to take those descents fast. I went over a minute faster on the Immingfell descent than I did like a week ago in the rain. Yeah. You think like that descent. So, I can't imagine. So I certainly changed the plan from that standpoint of, being more aggressive on the descents. Like I had sort of planned to climb hard but not crazy, ride really solid on the flats, which has traditionally been my strength, and then to sort of manage the descents. But then when the gaps kept growing, I thought, I'm going to have to take these descents fast, which was a little bit dicey at times, but kept the rubber side down, and those guys just, both Alan and Lars Christian, both fantastic times on this course. I thought it was possible to ride sub 5 hours on this course, and I thought maybe I would. But I didn't think, in the rain, I wouldn't have thought that someone would do that. But,
there were certainly incredible times. When you looked at the record from last year, the course record was 10 hours and 23 minutes. You broke that record today, but it was only good enough for third place.
Yeah, if you had told me that I expected to go, I thought maybe 9:59:59. Yeah. If you had said it's going to rain, I would have said, okay, add 10 minutes. 10. If you told me that I would go, 10:10 is about what I expected to go. I thought I would go somewhere between just under 10 hours to 10:10. And based on previous, I thought for sure that'll be good enough to win. Yeah. And it was good enough for third by, almost 18 minutes. Yeah. So from that standpoint, those guys, I think, raised the bar. I'm a little bit honored. I talked with Alan Hovde after the race, and it said, we all thought that you were going to win. So it's I think we sort of had to take some risk. I'm well, I'm honored. But then at the same time, it's, I think I'm honored that those guys raised their level because of me. But, at the same time, I think it would have been nice if maybe they hadn't raised it quite so much.
Are you disappointed not to win, Jordan, or have you enjoyed the whole experience of being here? Is there anything you could have done that you regret that you didn't do?
I think, I was so close to Alan by the end, I think. What does it say? We have the times up here. I think
it's 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Yeah. And I think that I could have been more efficient in transition with the clothing. I think the rain was tough. You know, but I think you're not exactly sure, like how warm, how cold, all of that. So do I think I could have found 4 minutes? Yeah, maybe. Could I have found 17 minutes? No. So I think maybe with a bit better execution, I might have come second. But at the same time, you know, Alan, of course, probably maybe he had another minute or two as well. So you don't want to say, you know, he's obviously has won this race twice and is a hard racer, and he knows, you know, I'm sure he was managing a little bit, you know. He knew he wasn't going to win once Lars Christian, and then he knew that he seemed to be able to hold me off. So, yeah, of course I'm disappointed not to win, right? I mean, I'm a racer. I come to race, you know. I mean, until I heard the cheers when I was running up the trail at Gaustatoppen, I still thought I might win. I mean, I ran that whole trail as much as I could, you know. I ran the stairs at the very end because it was like, you never know, right? Until in a race like this, like people can start walking at any moment.
Yeah.
You know, and I was chipping away the whole run, just not big enough.
Yeah. I think we did actually mention it during the commentary as well, that at one point we thought that you were just going to run out of road here because your performance improved towards the end of the race. You knew you had to put the pedal to the metal, and you did, and you started to close the gap there a little bit, but unfortunately you just ran out of a little bit of time. But can I ask you 2 questions, right? One is, are you going to try to come back next year? And 2 is, what are you going to do differently when you do come back next year?
Right now, I think, you know, there's so much emotion after a race like this, and but I think I want to win this race. So, given that I did not win this race, there's a part of me that says I'm definitely coming back next year. You know, I think that's yeah, of course. I think there's a lot I could do differently. I think in terms of it's a huge advantage, I think, to have ridden the whole course, to know the course. I think there are just parts where I would drop my head a bit more and kind of bury it. There's things I would do differently in terms of what I would wear for clothing. I would do transitions differently. I think I would probably be more aggressive at the start of the swim to make sure that I didn't get gapped. I think, you know, if I had seen Lars Christian, I think and I'd been able to keep him in sight, you know, I think that might have made a big difference. You know, I think I wouldn't allow him to get it so far out. I'd make him work for it at the very least to get a big gap like that out of the swim. I think there's a lot of those things, you know, even something as simple as, I think, like the old road, I think I could ride that a lot harder. Like I could race the old road, which I don't think I really was able to race that this year. You know, and I think, yeah, there's some things like that I would do differently. I mean, I was happy with, you know, all of my equipment selection and all of that. I think the support crew, we would do things a little bit differently as well. You know, maybe I carried more stuff. We were less efficient than we could be. I think, you know, there were minutes to be gained for sure.
Well, we hope that you manage to gain those minutes back over the course of the next year's training, and we look forward to welcoming you back again in the future. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Jordan Rapp, ladies and gentlemen, from California. We're going to move you out of the studio now because we have a whole queue of people here who are waiting to talk to us. Awesome. But it's been a pleasure having you here, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan.
An absolutely fantastic sports person. It's been a part of an amazing day of racing. I'm just getting a request here for 1 minute here. Ronan Flood in Ireland is asking us to get the camera back to the finish line to see if we can catch Tig Cowhig coming in. They've been following all day. We'll see if we can get anything, but maybe not. Finish strong, Dan Runyon. And we have another interviewee ready to come in here. Come. This is the biggest smile I've seen all day.
Gratulerer.
Our winner, Lars Christian, have a seat. You look like you need it.
Yeah, I need it.
You look very fresh, man. What have you been doing all day?
Oh yeah, I wasn't so fresh some hours ago. I think I've never been that exhausted. And you know what I've been doing all day.
Yeah, we've been watching you, man. We've been watching you very, very closely. We just spoke to Jordan Rapp, and he talked a little bit about the start of the race, and he feels that you got a jump on him at the swim. Did you know that you'd made a sort of that you'd opened up a little bit of a gap there?
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised that I got this big gap on him. But I knew it quite early because I had my support and people along the course telling me how I was doing. So yeah, I knew it quite early. Yep. And that surprised me, but still I wasn't I didn't feel safe. I know he and many of the others were strong. So
that was going to be my next question, because we heard that your support team were telling you throughout the race there, and that you were going to be sort of like, you were asking where everybody was there. Was this playing on your mind, or at any point did you just ignore it?
I tried to ignore it, but that's really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a fight in my head the whole day. How far behind are they? Is Alan coming closer? And sometimes I just have to fight the bad thoughts telling me, oh, this is so hard. Maybe I should just, if Alan wins, he deserves it. Maybe I should just, And then I just push it away and convince myself that, okay, he can. If he take me, that's all right. But not if I don't do the race of my life.
Yeah.
If I do the race of my life and someone takes me, it's okay. But I tried to tell me that all the time.
You did the race of your life and everybody else's life today under 10 hours. Was that a sort of a secret little goal that you had in your mind going out there this morning?
I knew I was capable. I knew I could do it if the conditions were right, which they were. But I mean, that was just something I thought that it actually happened. That's I still haven't really realized it. It's almost too good to be true.
Was it something you discussed with your support team or with your friends or anything like that? Like, oh, I might be able to do this in under 10 hours.
Yeah, with with my coach and with my closest friend and support and wife and parents. I told them that I thought I could do that, but I guess the only person who really believed that was my coach.
Yeah, not even you.
I believed it, but still, it's so. I mean, I believe I was able to do it, but still to do it, it's too good to be true. So it's it's sort of like a dream.
At one point, Alan looked to be closing the gap on you a little bit. Were you aware of that he won back, I think, 2 or 3 minutes at one point? He closed the gap down to just under 7 minutes. Did you know that, and how did you respond to that then?
Oh, that stressed me so much.
So you knew. We were sitting here going, oh, this is going to be good. So we can tell you all these things now. We couldn't say them during the race. We were thinking, this is going to be good. Yeah, how did you find out? Was it somebody in your support team told you?
Yeah, and people along the road. There were so many people telling me the times and cheering me along the way. So
and freaking you out.
Yeah, and sometimes when I was like increasing the gap, I didn't get freaked out. But when it decreased, I sort of had to force myself not to trying to calculate if he continues the same pace, will he take me? I just had to think, okay, that doesn't matter. I just have to do what I'm able to do. But it was a fight. I mean, I was so stressed when the gap decreased. Yeah.
At what point did you know you had the race won?
I tried not to tell myself that I had it before I almost on the top of the first in Zombie Hill.
Yeah.
Before Stavsro. I saw that the gap had just increased to Alan, and then I knew I'm really strong in the last part. Then I thought, okay, if I don't make it now, I have to break a bone or something. Then I knew, but before that, I tried not to take I tried not to tell myself that
it was over until it was really over. Yeah.
Because if you just slow the pace a little bit, minutes go so fast.
Yeah. Could you just describe for the viewers at home, because it's difficult for us to get a camera on the last running, how difficult is that at the very end of your 226k triathlon?
I was so exhausted today at the end, so today was really difficult. Sometimes I almost fell, and I was a real zombie then. I didn't see clear. The only thing I wanted to do was just lay down, but I had this devil of a support telling me to run all the time. So he really pushed me, to my limit. But all the stones and everything there. It's hard to run. I had to change shoes actually. I had these shoes made for asphalt running.
Yeah.
And then I had to change to some other shoes which my support had.
Yeah, so you changed the trail running shoes then?
Yeah, I changed to trail running shoes, and that helped really much.
Yeah. But today you were the king of Zombie Hill. How are you going to celebrate this victory, this sub 10 hour, this new course record?
That's that's the downside of this sport. I really want to celebrate, but I'm so exhausted. So in some hours I'll probably just lay on the bed. Yeah, I'll try to celebrate today, but probably I won't do it before some days.
Yeah. What's next for you now? Are you back to work Monday morning or back studying, or what are you going to do?
No, I finished my studies in psychology this year. Just some months ago. Mm-hmm. So I'll start working again next week. Yeah, I thought I was going to do it this week, but I still have a vacation, so I'll take this week off. Yeah, I suggest you take a little bit of a lie on Monday and just enjoy it. But more so, even before then, when you put your head down on the pillow tonight, think of the great thing that you've achieved here today. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch you race, man, and I hope you're back again next year to defend your title. There we go, Lars Christian, our winner there. We'll just move you out of the studio now. We'll put Dag back on his pedestal there. Our expert commentator has been here all day. There goes Lars Christian Vold, record holder, sub 10 hour Norseman winner for today. Dag is getting sent out there as well, so I'm going to be left on my own in the studio here for a little while. Maybe if we do have a camera over on the mountain, which is now shrouded in clouds again, if we might go back to that camera a little bit over there, we might see Tig Cowhig. We're desperately trying to get him in there for the Irish guys. There is a couple of people there asking for us to show the finish line there, so you never know. There is Lars Christian being congratulated by Ironman News. Do we have anything there? This is an overview of what's happening there. This is the last little bit of the track there. So you can see what Lars Christian was talking about there. That regular jogging shoes, the kind of things that you put on a weekday evening after work and go out and run your 10 or 15k in, they're not going to cut it here. As we see our spectators walking past, or indeed one of our participants walking past a Norwegian flag there. Can't see what number that person is wearing there, but we'll try to bring it to you now and try to get the sign up there. Incredible to get to talk to Lars Christian, of course, a qualified psychologist. If ever anybody was going to be the master of his own destiny today, it was Lars Christian, as we look at Henrik Gunnerud, another Norwegian athlete making his way up there. 13 hours and 20 minutes after the start time this morning. Plenty of athletes still out on the field, still giving their all out there. As I said, Lars Christian, a qualified psychologist, very interesting to talk to him about his mental battle and the idea that you have people along the course and they're telling you the times and your support team is telling you the time. And, when the time increases, that's great. That's all the motivation you need to keep going. But when you're told that the time is shrinking a little bit, that's when the paranoia starts to kick in. That's when the voices start to come in. Do you really want this? Do you really want this as much as the next guy? Is he gaining on you? Is he stronger than you? Is he faster than you? But Lars Christian has done a tremendous job today. Both he and Jordan Rapp spoke about that element of it. Jordan spoke about his own trying to work out where everybody was on the course, what they were good at, what they were bad at. It seems that he lost it a little bit early on. It was a little bit of a struggle for him there because of the fact that he lost a little bit of time early on and never really could recover from that then. We are back out towards the finish line there. This is somewhere on the mountain there, the last of the stones leading up the hill there towards the steps where the finish line is. Can't see any numbers there now. I don't know if Tig Cowhig from Ireland has made his way across the finish line just yet, but they are coming towards the steps there right enough. The more paved area leading up the mountain. Very, very, very tired legs now as they trudge up the last few steps. The last of the black t-shirt winners. There are quite a few people around there who have made it to the 32.5 kilometre cutoff, and they're making their way then up to the mountaintop. The rest will now be diverted to the hotel that Gaustablik, where we are sitting here. They're going to come up here, they're going to enjoy the buffet, they're going to have somewhere to rest, somewhere to have a shower, get a blanket around their shoulders, get the heat back into their bodies. We are still on the hashtag NXTRI2017. If you have any of your last questions or comments, we'll be here for about another half an hour or so. So if
you got anything you want to tell us there? If you're still awake in Australia, for instance, and you haven't heard from Meredith Hill just yet, we might even have Meredith Hill in the studio before we cease our broadcast a little bit later on. Maybe we might have one of the films from a little bit earlier on in the day. We started broadcasting to you 13 and a half hours or more ago. The first pictures that we brought you were here from the studio, and then we took you to the ferry from where the race started. So if we have the VT there, we might be able to cue it up there and show you what things looked like at 4:45 this morning, Central European time, when Norseman 2017, the 15th race in the series, got underway. Good morning and welcome to Gaustablikk here in Norway, where we are all set to bring you the 2017 Norseman Xtreme Triathlon, the ultimate triathlon here on the face of the earth. We're ready to bring you all the action and all the drama from what happens out there today. This is the start of the 2017 Norseman, the 15th year in a row that this race is being held. And there goes the horn, and they're off. You can see everybody hitting the crawl straight away. Nobody's going to be hanging around here. There are no breaststrokers here, no backstrokers here, and they're going hell for leather to begin with, getting into a smooth stroke as quickly as they can. The athletes are going to have to be prepared for pretty much everything a triathlon course can throw at them in terms of gradient, in terms of weather, in terms of temperature. So it's a hugely challenging, yet I'm sure hugely enjoyable course. We are bringing you the Norseman 2017 Xtreme Triathlon live from Norway. You are looking at our swimmers in Eidfjord at the moment. They've been in the water for 50 minutes at this point, according to the clock I have in front of me. And the first athletes are about to leave the water. They set out at 5 o'clock this morning. Just before 5 o'clock they hit the water. And this group of 4 have been out in front pretty much ever since. And of course there is an enormous amount of physical effort required to take them through the 3.8 kilometers of the swim. And you can see our leading cyclist there is out on the road, and he set off at a fairly cracking pace. Really, really spectacular images, it has to be said, of a tremendously beautiful part of the world. So you can't use the person in front of you and just ride in their slipstream. You can't allow them to protect you from the wind. This is individual cycling, it's not team cycling. This is a very, very punishing climb here at the start of the race. The first of 5 climbs as well. You have to start to wonder about the sanity of people taking. You have to be just a little bit crazy to take part in this, the ultimate triathlon on the face of the earth. It is the Norseman Xtreme Triathlon 2017. Good morning and welcome back to Gaustablikk in beautiful Norway, where we are bringing you live coverage of the Norseman Xtreme Triathlon for 2017. Most of the climbers have made it to the top of the first climb, and now what we're looking at here is the long, flat 20-30 kilometer stretch before the downhill and then the next climb. Around about an hour ago on this beautiful Saturday morning here in Norway, it started to rain just a little bit as the riders got to the top of the climb there. So they made a little bit of a change. The rain jackets went on. They took a little bit of sustenance, a little bit of nutrition, a little bit of hydration, and now they are out on the course. Every little margin is being sought here. Every second counts on this cycle here. They're trying to build up as much of a lead as possible. Lars Christian will very, very soon be off his bike and onto his feet and starting off on his marathon journey and 42.2 kilometers of running. And here comes Lars Christian. And you can see him jogging. There is no time being wasted here at all. And he's gone. That is an incredible transition. And you can see that Alan is not wasting any time. The jacket is off. The bike is dumped at the moment. They're trying to take the helmet off. Anything that will save him a few seconds is going to help him out here. And he's gone. Off he goes, and the race is on. There is 42.2 kilometers left from this point. There is one man in front of him, only one man in front of him, and he's about 10 minutes away. And now it is up to Alan Hovda to get his skates on and see if he can reel him in. Lovely picture showing just how difficult the conditions are out there at the moment. We've been saying all day how the weather can change in an instant, and it went from being a lovely dry day to torrential rain there, and you can see the raindrops bouncing off the pavement and creating mist, and between them and the low-flying clouds, or the low-hanging clouds, the conditions wouldn't be ideal. I'm sure it'll help keep the body temperature down on the flatter parts, or indeed the more inclined parts of the race. There's Lars Christian Bold, and his support, plus a few random people on the course, and they're sneaking in there trying to take credit, you know. He looks very relaxed now all of a sudden. He looks, I don't think there's any fear of anybody catching him up at the moment. Of course, he has a lead of about 7 or 8 minutes there. You can see the pain in the face there of Anne Nevin. There's an enormous amount of effort after going into this race already. She is in second place in the women's race. There it is, Meredith Hill. She's just come into shot there on the right-hand side. I'm sure she knows. She has to know. There can be no way she cannot know that Anne Nevin is right on her trail. Is she going to react at all? Is she going to react at all? She's not reacting at all. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's no energy left. Now she breaks. Now she breaks. Now the fight back is coming. Now the fight back is on. It might be just a little too late. Anne looks over her shoulder there. She knows she's on her shoulder. The battle is on now, and there's a long, long, long way to go for these two women. Do we have... I think we... is that a little bit of illness there? There you go, just one final illustration of an athlete really leaving it all out on the course there. Our winner today, Lars Christian Vold in the men's class, and of course we saw Anne Nevin there as well, the winner in the ladies' class. Incredible drama that started earlier on this morning. We've witnessed it all throughout the day here. Just like the weather, everything has changed, fortunes have changed. Two very, very different races between the men's race and the women's race. Lars Christian led pretty much from the start to the very, very end. That's not to say that he had an easy time of it. Anne, on the other hand, had to fight her way back from being in third place, first passing the 2015 winner Christina Lee, and then on to overtaking Meredith Hill, the pride of Australia there, and finally going on to win the race. She managed to leave Meredith behind there and win the race there. We have a few questions, a few comments coming in here on the NXTRI 2017 hashtag. We have Martin there thanking us for the coverage, and it's been a pleasure, an absolute privilege and a delight to bring it to you. Mike Boone asking about the coverage of the final finishers. As the final finishers probably won't get here until 11 o'clock at night, our broadcast is finishing at around about 7 o'clock Central European time this evening. As far as I know, I'm not actually aware of the fact of whether or not we have a camera up at the finish line. So as soon as we get that information, we'll bring it to you. I do know that we have a film crew who've been on duty all day. They've been following all the athletes around. They're still up, as far as I know, at the finishing line, and they're filming many of the athletes who are crossing there for the time being. For the last half hour of this broadcast, we're going to be summing things up just a little bit. We're going to be talking about some of the wonderful things that we have seen today. We'll have our general manager for the Norseman, Dag Oliver, is going to be back there. There we go. We are back out in the field. Our last camera team that is down there now sending like that's 187, competitor number 187, as we drive off a little bit. They're on a bit of a leisurely stroll at this point in time. We have most of our 160 finishers, the black t-shirt finishers as we call them. They're going to be finishing at the mountaintop in the background. If I look over my shoulder here, I can see the mist once again beginning to settle over Gaustablik here in the background. Gaustatoppen, as it's known here locally. So the mist is beginning to come down again. It's maybe a good thing that our 160 finishers are on their way up there now, so before the weather gets bad a little bit later on, they'll all be done and dusted, and they'll all be removed from the mountain in good time before it gets dark. The rest of the athletes who are still on the course are going to make their way directly here to the hotel that we're broadcasting to you from. So they'll now be sent off. The race is exactly the same length, still 226 kilometres, but their path here will be a little bit flatter, a little bit easier to manage, a little bit safer there. So I'm going to go in here. We're no longer connected with Dog's computer to the leaderboard, so I'm just going to go in now and see. There we have some images from out on the field. That is athlete number 93 that we're passing by there, and his support assistant there. Ivar Strandnes, sounds like another Norwegian athlete, but we didn't see so much of that. we'll turn the camera around there and we'll get ourselves moving along the course there again. The idea, of course, is now to get as many of the athletes and indeed the camera teams and support staff here to the hotel as quickly as possible. For some of those out on the course, the evening is not yet over. You're talking about getting until about maybe 11 o'clock at night. Doug Oliver, the general manager of the Norseman, told us, operational responsibility for the race today, but his estimate was around about 11 o'clock in the evening before we get everybody there. The problem in previous years has been that it could be after midnight before people arrive here, but we've been very, very lucky with the weather today. Those of you who've been following the broadcast all day will know that we had a lot of rain early on here, but it's cleared up here and it's absolutely beautiful out behind us. The lake's out behind us. The water is very, very calm. There's very little wind or any of that kind of thing. A little bit of a breeze blowing there. And indeed, the sun made a very, very brief appearance a little bit later on. I think it was the only day of the Norwegian summer. I see Doug Oliver is on his way back in here now. Maybe he's not on his way back to the desk beside me here. Maybe he is. You never know. Are we going to pick up this cable, Dog, and maybe have a quick look at the leaderboard and see who's left out there? The joys of live television, we might put that in there. We still have our interview microphone there in case we manage to get any of the ladies' winners there as well. There we go. Lars Christian Vold in the incredible time of 9 hours, 52 minutes and 10 seconds. Is that now the official time, Dog? The official new course record, or are we waiting on Toril to confirm that?
The official time is not official until the race referee has signed off.
There you go.
We need everyone to finish to get that.
We will wait, and you can check it out on the Facebook page and on the website tomorrow. In second place, we had Alan Hovda, who made it in a time of 10 hours, 5 minutes and 35 seconds. After that, the Californian Jordan Rapp, who's here, we interviewed him recently, 10 hours, 9 minutes and 41 seconds. We have some of the happiest racers out there at the moment. You can see with the rucksack on their back, a thumbs up there, still bouncing along, lovely bounce in his stride despite the lateness of the day. 13 and a half hours after starting, pulling faces for the camera, sticking out his tongue, etc., etc. He knows that there's a fine buffet dinner waiting for him here at the hotel this evening. Lars Petter Stormo came in fourth place today, a time of 10 hours, 26 minutes and 44 seconds for Lars Petter, last year's winner. I'm wondering, it's going to be interesting to see a little bit later on. Maybe we can have a little chat and see what he says, but almost equalled his record of last year. Had a pretty good race overall. Did you notice anything in Lars Petter's race? Where did he start to fall away? Because it was reasonably tight there from the swim going onto the cycling, and it was seemingly there within the cycling somewhere that he sort of dropped back just a little bit.
Yeah. And maybe Jordan's correct in his analysis. So Lars Petter had a stellar race in Austria just 4 or 5 weeks ago where he won his age group there, so that he was might still be feeling some of the traction from that one. Yeah, I'm just wondering how long it takes to recover. I mean, we've heard of athletes today indeed who've done 50 triathlons in 50 states in 50 days in the US. Can that really be done without sort of grinding your body down completely over the course of 2 months? One shouldn't think so, but Johnny may have the answer for you. There you go. We might have to bring Johnny back in and talk to him about that. Clearly, Lars Petter, another fine performance today, though, but wasn't enough to make it to the podium. I'm sure he'll be back again next year if he has the chance. Do you get many previous winners who contact you, Dog, and say, I'd like to come back, I'd like to do the race again? And if so, are you more inclined to give one of the optional places or the places that you decide to a previous winner? Or do they have to qualify like everybody else? We do have great respect for our previous winners, and I don't think we've been in a situation where we had to say no to any previous winners coming back. And but of course, we're getting more and more previous winners, so at some point we might not have the extra spaces we need. But up until now, with the race director's quota and stuff like that, we've managed to bring them in. For our 10th anniversary, we actually organized Norseman 2 days in a row. So we had the normal Norseman Saturday and a anniversary race on the Sunday where we invited all the previous winners. So I think we had 7 of 10 previous winners racing then, which was very cool. It's fascinating to see how many people actually sort of keep doing triathlons even after winning here. That this isn't just because they reach the top of the mountain, so to speak. They don't give up at that point. They keep going, they keep training, they keep taking part.
Where does this race fit in the great pantheon of races here? You know, if you've done this race, what's the next step? Or is this the highest you're going to go?
No, as we've been discussing today, Norseman, possibly for most of our participants, it's more an experience than an actual race. It's you go here and you get a full range of experiences, both during the race, but also before and after. We are now working with events all over the world which are looking to offer the same stuff. So these smaller, more intimate, basic races, we hope that our athletes either go and check those out or find their new goal somewhere else.
I see. We're just going to go over to some of the questions here that are coming in on Twitter. We have John Stokes, and here's an interesting one. Where's Auntie Katie? All I've been hearing since 5:27 a.m. Any chance of a live shot of 60 Auntie Katie Kunkel's finish? John, I can't promise anything at this point in time. We can see if we can try to find out where she is on the course at the moment, and we can see if we have a cameraman anywhere near her. If we can do anything for you, we will do something for you, my friend. But of course, I can't promise anything. Mike saying thanks, really enjoyed the broadcast. Sets a high bar for other races. We do our best here. We've really enjoyed it throughout the day. It's been an absolute pleasure and a joy to sit beside somebody as knowledgeable as Dag Oliver, who's been able to share that knowledge with you here today. Congrats to all the athletes, you're heroes. I think we can only agree with that comment that's come in there on the NXTRI 2017 hashtag. We mentioned a little bit earlier on about the importance of social media in triathlons and in extreme sports. And this is something that there's a strategy there that you guys work with all the time, right, in terms of marketing the sport. How does it look? What's your favourite channel at the moment for social media? Is it Facebook? Is it Snapchat? Is it Instagram? Not yours personally now, Dag. I'm not asking for your login details or anything, but...
As a race organizer, social media really stresses you out because it's so dynamic. It's so hard to find where you should be and what you should do. We were lucky enough to be very well established on Facebook before they started switching their algorithms into having to pay for everything. So we have a solid, steady audience out there that we get a lot of attention from when we need it. So we do a lot of work on Facebook, but we're also growing extensively on Instagram. So we're a very visual race, so it makes sense using our photos and film a lot. So
I'd imagine, of course, this weekend is the peak of what happens all year. The race is on. There's naturally going to be a lot of focus on you. But the Norseman is a once-a-year thing. Is there still sort of, talk about and talk around the race and what's going to be happening and that kind of thing all year round? Or is it just something that sort of wakes up at this time of the year and then dies off again?
We'll be working, especially social media, 3, 4, 5 times a week all year round.
So there's plenty of stuff that's sort of programmed to go out, so to speak, updates and information and that kind of thing. One of the things that you can follow on social media as we look towards a different angle here of the finishing line, as far as I know. If you do go in and click on like on the Facebook page, go and look up the Norseman Xtreme Triathlon on Instagram, you will find some truly amazing pictures, some truly amazing images, amazing videos. There's been some great conversations that we've had live earlier on in the week with some of the athletes, many of whom we've spoken to here today as well. That is a view of the finish line that we haven't seen before. We're trying to keep up. We're saying, let me see, hoping to see RT Cannon. We'll find out who that is. Watching live, hoping for a view. That's Rob Cannon. That's somebody, he seems to be based in San Francisco in California. Again, we're just keeping an eye out there. We can't stay at the finish line all the time because we're spread out a little around the field there, but we will do our best to bring you footage of the finish line there. Auntie Katie, we're still looking for Katie Kunkel to see where she is. We're sending our photographers or our camera crews around the place. A lot of them are running around there. We're giving them different instructions to go and find all these different people. So we'll see what we can manage to pull back there. Of course, we would like to interview the winners of the women's competition, or indeed the top 3 of the women's competition, or any combination of them if we can get them down here.
And in any of you guys see them anywhere, please tell them
exactly.
We want them here. Because
we appear to have mislaid our winners of the women's competition.
They are not replying to SMSs, but they may be on the funicular inside the mountain where they will have no reception.
Yeah, there'll be no coverage there or anything else like that. So, but they are, either way, they've got to get back down to where we are here, our commentary position down here, and see where we are. I'm wondering if we have our cameras out around the course and if there's anything that we can see out there. There we go. Athlete number 108 is out there. Who is that? That is Andrew Slater. We finally found Andrew Slater. So Tommy, who was looking for Andrew Slater a little bit earlier on, it took us about a half an hour to dig up Andrew. You can see there he's been out on the course for 13 hours and 42 minutes. He's got his support staff there with him. He's just coming up on the 32 kilometre mark, so he's down the field there. He's going to be instructed to make a left turn up here towards the hotel. At 10 kilometres to go, you're talking about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, so he's probably going to be here by about 8:30 or so. We'll say hello to to Katie Kunkel's niece, Eva. Eva is waiting there for news of her aunt, and we're going to see if we can find her as well. As you can see, the cloud is sweeping in again over the finish line there up above the mountain. So we'll just have a look over there. Yeah, it's coming down pretty low, and it's coming down pretty thick. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to find Katie or anybody else there, Eva, but we will do our best. We'll keep our eye out for her, and if we find her and we can point a camera at her, we will. Dag, what's your plans for this evening? What are we going to do tonight?
Now it's photos, social media, press briefings, hopefully a little bit of food, and then 2 hours of sleep, and then all over again.
There we go. I thought we were going to have a beer and relax, but obviously not. There's still plenty of work to be done here on the social media front. This is the Norseman. This is the 2017 version. This is the 15th edition of the race. This is history, and this is the athletes still out on the course. Let me see, almost 14 hours after they set off at 5 o'clock this morning from Eidfjord, and they're still out there. You could see Judy Allen Graham there from Australia. If anybody in Australia is still up, they've been there cheering on Miss Hill all day. If they're still up there, they can have a look. Judy Allen Graham there, picking them up and putting them down along the last part, or not the last part of the course. She still has a bit of a ways to go there, but still in the race by all means. Is there any cut-off at all, Dog, after, if you're told to go left towards the hotel rather than to go to the top of the mountain, is there a cut-off between there and the hotel, between 32.5 kilometres?
No.
No, you just run your last 10k and you're good to go.
Run the last 10k, but you need to have a...
It's the forward motion.
Forward motion.
Yeah, we got to keep the forward motion going at the whole time. Look at the weather conditions up at the top. Staggering how the weather changes here. The hoods are up. It's getting very, very damp, very, very wet up there. Very difficult to find anybody in that darkness. Rob Cannon is 2.3 miles from the finish. Finished number 179. Come on, brother, says Jen Cannon. I'm not sure where Jen is in the world. Jen is in Phoenix, Arizona. I think Rob was from San Francisco, for somewhere in California there. Yeah, we're hearing that the conditions at the top now are getting a little bit difficult to work in as we have a look at Marco Riedel from Germany. He's running up with 10 kilometres to go there. Conditions at the top getting quite treacherous now. It's getting very, very slippery up there. And indeed, where I'm sitting here, we're starting to feel the rain coming in again. We'll take one last look up at the top. Yeah, as you can see, it's getting a bit treacherous there. There's gloves and there's hoods on and everything else like that. So we may very well evacuate that position with the camera that we have up there. So we'll have to leave it to our other film team to see if they can get any pictures from up there. But as you can see, most people are now leaving the top area there. I'm not sure exactly how many of the athletes have made it to the top. There was 160 were destined to go there from this morning. Many of them have already made it, but at the moment, as you can see, the cloud behind me is covering the mountain top there. So we're not going to go up there anymore. We're going to probably round off in the very near future here. If we do find our women's winners, our first, second, or third place there, we'll interview them maybe on Facebook Live a little bit later on there. In the meantime, we put together some films. What amazing scenes there are from up at the very top there. This is the last picture we're going to get there before we have to move our camera operator out of there. As you can see, the mist closing in very, very quickly there. It would remind you of a seaside town in Ballion when the rain comes down around about there. But
this also proves the importance of being able to work, have contingency for the mountain. This could have been 3 degrees lower, it could have been snow. Yeah, this is the thing. And indeed, we did have snow one year recently where only one competitor made it all the way to the top of the mountain.
We are going to have a quick look at some films to finish off. But before I do that, Dog, I'm going to ask you, what are you happiest about today? What have you enjoyed most about the race, about the broadcast, about the experience of Norseman 2017 today?
Race records, fantastic. Incredible. But also no emergency calls at all so far, and I hope it continues like that for the rest of the race. There are still a lot of racers out there, and I wish them the best for the rest of the race, and we will be there for them all the way until they finish.
Yeah, I think the biggest risk is probably over now for most of the athletes, because the ones who've been sent left towards the hotel here, it's going to be pretty flat. It's a pretty manageable course. How many athletes would you estimate still have to make it to the top of the mountain? Do we have any idea of how many there are there?
We can have a look.
We can have a quick look on the leaderboard and see how many have made it and how many haven't made it. We're going to be scrolling down through them here. There we have the map there. So
yeah, see there are quite a few athletes still that haven't turned up into the mountain.
Yep.
Mohamed Lana is on his way,
yep,
which is very good. So there's a steady row of athletes now continuing up the mountain. So there's still a couple of hours of people now ascending Mount Gaustatoppen.
So they will make their way up there, and they will pretty quickly they'll make their way back down if the weather's like that. They'll be removed from the mountain pretty quickly.
Yeah.
When they do get down, we shall bring them down here. We'll feed them. We'll hold them. We'll put blankets around them. We'll tell them what great heroes, great sporting heroes they have been for us all day today. I think at this stage maybe we will round off this broadcast. From the very bottom of our hearts, we would like to thank the people of Norway, to everybody who has contributed from Eidefjord to Gaustablikk. For my own behalf, I'd like to really congratulate and to thank the fantastic production team that are behind the cameras here today. You didn't see any of them ever. Not even when the table fell over did you get a chance to see any of them. But I can tell you there's an awful lot of people who have worked very, very hard to make us look this good today, Dog, and I'd like to extend a thank you to them. I'd like to extend a thank you to Dog for bringing me here and for giving me the opportunity to experience this great race, albeit I haven't moved as much as some of the athletes have, but it's been one of the best sporting experiences I've ever had as a broadcaster. We'll leave you with these images from this tremendous race today, from this tremendous day of sport, from these tremendous athletes, most of whom will go back to their jobs on Monday morning, but for one day they were all Norsemen. If he wants to run a sub 10-hour triathlon, he has about 24 minutes to do so. Either way, he's going to break the course record. At the moment, it looks like an absolute certainty, unless he falls off the other side of the mountain, which is deeply unlikely, but he has a support team with him now, so the conditions are absolutely perfect, both to win the race, to smash the course record, and to win, and to run a sub 10-hour triathlon. Lars Christian Wold is on his way to the top. We've got him inside of our cameras there. The last few steps, we can see the support team is with him. They're going side by side. Strong, resolute steps up towards the finish line. It is going to be under 10 hours. It is going to be well under 10 hours when he crosses the finish line. And there he goes across the line, the winner of the 2017 Norseman, the ultimate triathlon, in a time of around 9 hours, 52 minutes and 3 seconds. The record is not just broken, it is smashed, it is destroyed, it is gone for all time. Absolutely unbelievable as he collapses on the finish line. Sporting history is made at the top of the mountain at the Norseman. And look at that smile. Look at that smile. Full of energy. The game face is still on. Will we see the smile as she crosses the line? And never the winner of the Women's Norseman 2017. And look at the relief. Look at the relief. It's across the line in a time of 10 hours. Yet another man to break last year's course record. Last year's course record has been a world-class athlete. Australia can be proud tonight. There she goes. Big smile. Second, third time, you're better going all fours there. You'll stumbles across the finish line, exhausted, in 10th position, taking off the backpack, and I reckon that was in preparation for just falling. He appears to be well on the way to the recovery already, wrapped up in a blanket. We'll get him a cup of soup now. And that shout, if nothing else, is bound to lift him out of his tears there.
Man.